Okay, so one thing just to throw out there is that I highly recommend writing things down all the time when you're practicing something. It's amazing how much easier it makes it. Instead of trying to hold it all in your mind at first, just writing it down and getting like this visual type makes it a lot easier. Can you hear my guitar okay? All right, cool. So let's walk through these together. I've got the shapes all written down in the chord diagrams. If you were to look at the E string as being the root, that's the chord I have written above, like G Ionian, right? If you look at the A string as the root, it's the chord that's written below, C Lydian, or chord. What I mean really is kind of like the application or the way of perceiving it. So right now, let's only focus on the E string. Cool. So if we put our index finger on the E string and play a G, we're going to be making G Ionian, and we're just going to stack fourths. So our first fourth is just a fourth, right? And then if we go up a fourth to our seventh, that's going to be a sharp 11. So it's like a sharp 4. Cool. Then we're going to go from the 7th to the 3rd. That's just an ordinary 4th. And then on top, we need the, going from the 3rd up a 4th is going to take us to the 6th. And then the going up a 4th from the 6th is going to get us to the 9th. Cool. So our whole shape then is like this. I probably would do index, middle, and ring finger. Pinky also is acceptable. It feels kind of easier in a way, less like a weird like web hand, you know. But anyways, now I think that sounds pretty cool as it is. But it's definitely kind of, I mean, it's super dense, right? Especially because you have a 4th in the chord here before you get to the 3rd. And later on, what we're going to do is we're going to be breaking these up and to do some of this this piano technique. Anyway, but that's G Ionian. Cool? Think of it like that as a 1 chord. And I would actually recommend learning these like one would learn chord shapes. You know, like if you're playing a song, even if it's kind of out of context, just to practice them and get used to using them. Like if a song like, well, we've only gone through 1 chord so far, but let's say like Blue and Green starts off with a B flat major 7 sharp 11. In the book, I think it says G minor 7, but Henderson said he recommended switching it to B flat major 7 sharp 11, like it was more like the record. In which case, I would go to B flat, and I would just play this voicing like a chord. Now he says B flat major 7 sharp 11, and what we have here is an ordinary 11, right? Because we're just stacking fourths. But when I'm practicing a thing like this, I would go ahead and take those liberties. The first note in that song is a sharp 11, so you would be in danger zone if you used this exact shape. You'd be wanting to use a Lydian shape, obviously. But for the sake of practice, just trying to internalize them. If you start with a kind of a narrower scope, like maybe I have a 1 chord, a 2 chord, and a 5 chord, so all my 2-5-1s are covered, then obviously you would know Ionian and not Lydian. Anyway, but going forward, A Dorian, the way this would look would actually be pretty easy. It's going to be all the 5th fret up until the B and high E. That's when you're going to have the 7th fret. So we have our G Ionian here, A Dorian. Cool. And then B Phrygian. So B Phrygian is a lot like A Dorian, except sort of collapsed on itself, right? Like this. There's no whole step in between. And this one's kind of tricky as far as like the fingering. You might prefer using your middle and middle and ring finger on the B string and high E, which would be like that. So now we have this, our G Dorian, G Ionian, A Dorian, B Phrygian. Cool. I like using my pinky on that, the Ionian. And now let's check out C Lydian, which is going to be the root here, C, and then up a fret for the next 3 strings. And then ring finger and pinky on the 10th fret of the B and E string. So here it might be good to kind of compare C Lydian to G Ionian. It's like G Ionian was here, C Lydian is here. 1 note difference in the shape. And actually, if you wanted, you could use your ring finger and pinky on the Ionian shape like this. Right? That way you got 3rd fret, 3rd fret, 4th fret, 4th fret, 5th fret, 5th fret. And then when you do C Lydian, all you have to change is that you move your middle finger from the D string up to the A string and you bar all 3. So you could go from like a G Ionian to G Lydian with that 1 change. Cool. Keep in mind, this is like these voicings will be sort of parted out. Okay, so next we have D Mixolydian. That being our root. Cool. So that's going to be all 10s, and then 11, 12, 12. All right. Let's go and walk through all these together. So our first one, G Ionian. You got that? All right. A Dorian, B Phrygian, C Lydian, D Mixolydian. All right. So now we only have 2 more. If you scroll down on that PDF, the E Aeolian is actually a lot like Dorian or Phrygian. If you look at like the Phrygian one, you'd have to raise your E string to be a 9, and that would be that. If you looked at it like Dorian, you'd have to lower the 6. Right? So we had like A Dorian here, where the same fret on the B and E string, and we're here, same thing, except the B string has to go down a fret. And you can think about it just the way you know Dorian and Aeolian, as far as like how'd that shape go, and you remember that they're just that similar, all the minor shapes, just like this. They're basically bar across all of them. So it'd be like A Dorian, A Aeolian, A Phrygian, right? Those would be your minor shapes. And then you have Locrian, F sharp Locrian, which is the same as Phrygian. Very hard to play, I find, up here, because the frets are so tiny that it makes for the way I played Phrygian here really difficult. So maybe a barring would be good. If you can bar across with your ring finger, that would work. Or maybe even a thumb on the E string, then barring just the A, D, and G with the middle and ring finger. That might be a nice way to do it. And then you're back to where you started. Cool. So our E Aeolian, F sharp, Locrian, and then we're back to where we started. Okay, let's try walking through all 7 up to the octave. So we have G Ionian, A Dorian, B Phrygian, C Lydian, D Mixolydian, E Aeolian, and then F sharp Locrian, and then up to the octave. Cool. Let's try that in some kind of tempo. Let's just try 2 beats each, like 1, 2, 1, 2.